The phone buzzed during dessert. Sarah was laughing at something the waiter said, her hand resting on his forearm in that casual way she had with other men. I'd stopped noticing it months ago, or maybe I'd trained myself not to care. Marriage does that. Dulls the edges of things that used to cut. "Excuse me," I said, checking the screen. Unknown number. A video file already downloading. My thumb hesitated over the play button. Something in my gut twisted, the same instinct that tells you not to look under the bed at night, but I pressed it anyway. The video was grainy, shot from above. A hotel room. The timestamp read 3 years ago, our wedding night. I recognized the wallpaper immediately, that awful floral pattern from the Roosevelt Hotel. Then I saw her, Sarah, my wife, naked, straddling someone who definitely wasn't me. The man's face came into view as she leaned down to kiss him. Brandon Fields, her colleague from the marketing firm, the guy she'd introduced me to at the company Christmas party last year, shaking my hand with a firm grip and a straight smile. I watched for 30 seconds before my hands started shaking. The phone clattered onto the table. "Caleb?" Sarah's voice seemed to come from underwater. "Are you okay?" I looked up at her. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd proposed to on a rainy Thursday in Central Park. But now I was seeing something else behind those green eyes, something cold and calculating that had always been there. "I need to use the bathroom," I managed. I made it to the stall before throwing up. When I came back out, hands washed and face splashed with cold water, there were 3 more messages waiting. More videos, more photos. Sarah and Brandon at different hotels, different times. One was dated just 2 weeks ago. The last message was text only. "Your wife is a liar. Your daughter might not be yours. Check the DNA." A friend. I paid the bill without looking at Sarah. She followed me to the car, heels clicking on the pavement, asking questions I couldn't hear over the white noise in my head. "Caleb, you're scaring me. What's wrong?" I drove us home in silence. She kept talking, her voice rising with each ignored question. When we pulled into the driveway, I finally showed her the phone. She went pale, then red, then pale again. "Where did you get this?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Does it matter?" "Caleb, I can explain. Were you with him on our wedding night?" I cut her off, my voice eerily calm. "Yes or no?" She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Yes." The word hung between us like smoke. "And the others? Are those recent?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I got out of the car and went straight to Emma's room. The crib was empty. Her favorite stuffed rabbit was gone. The closet stood open, half the clothes missing. "Where is she?" I turned to find Sarah in the doorway, car keys in her hand. "Somewhere safe." "Where is my daughter?" "I don't know if she is yours," Sarah said quietly. "That's the point." She was down the stairs before I could react. I heard the front door slam, an engine start, tires on gravel. By the time I reached the window, her car was already turning the corner. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty street. Then I went back to Emma's room and sat on the floor beside her crib, phone in hand, scrolling through the evidence of my demolished life. The next video started playing automatically. I should have stopped it. I didn't. This one was different. Newer. Sarah and Brandon in what looked like a beach house. She was wearing a bikini I'd never seen before. He was grilling steaks on a balcony while she laughed at something on her phone. The timestamp said last month, the weekend she'd told me she was at a marketing conference in Boston. I watched the whole thing, 7 minutes of my wife living a completely different life. At one point, Brandon kissed her neck and said something I couldn't hear. She turned and kissed him back, her hands in his hair, her body pressed against his like they'd done this 1,000 times. They probably had. Another message came through. This time it was a PDF. Bank statements. A second account under Sarah's maiden name. Sarah Porter, that I'd never known about. Deposits every month for the last 18 months. Small amounts at first, a few $100s, then larger. 2,000. 5,000. The last deposit was for $10,000, dated 3 days ago. Our anniversary. I sat on the floor of my daughter's empty room until the sun came up, going through every file, every video, every piece of evidence that this stranger had sent me. By dawn, I knew everything. The affair had been going on for 3 years. Sarah had been stealing money from our joint accounts the entire time. She'd taken out credit cards in my name, opened loans I'd never authorized, even refinanced our house without telling me. The total damage was somewhere around $90,000. My phone rang at 6 in the morning. My sister, Lauren. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Sarah just called me. She's hysterical. Says you're having some kind of breakdown." "Did she tell you why?" "She said you accused her of cheating, that you threw her out of the house, that you're keeping Emma from her." I laughed. It came out harsh and broken. "Let me send you something." I forwarded her the first video. Waited. Heard her sharp intake of breath. "Jesus Christ," Lauren whispered. "Caleb, I'm so sorry. She took Emma. I don't know where they are. I'm coming over. Don't do anything stupid. Don't call her. Don't text her. Don't communicate at all until I get there." She hung up before I could respond. Lauren showed up at 7 with coffee and a lawyer's number. "You look like hell," she said, pushing past me into the house. My sister had always been the practical one. While I was drawing buildings and dreaming about perfect angles, she was getting her law degree and learning how to spot liars from across a courtroom. She took one look at my face and knew everything. "Show me all of it," she said. I handed her the phone. She watched in silence, her jaw tightening with each video. When she finished, she set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. "How long have you known?" "About 12 hours now." "Have you called anyone else?" "Just you." "Good." She pulled out her own phone. "Here's what's going to happen. First, you're going to transfer every penny from your joint accounts into a new account in just your name. Then you're going to cancel all joint credit cards. Then you're going to call this lawyer." She showed me a contact. Victor Crane. He's expensive. He's also the best divorce attorney in the state. More importantly, he's ruthless. Sarah's going to try to spin this as you being abusive or controlling. She's going to play the victim. Victor won't let that happen. "I can't afford expensive right now. She's stolen almost everything." "You can't afford not to. This is war, Caleb. You need a general." Lauren was already typing on her phone. "I'm also calling a private investigator. Friend of mine from law school. He'll find out everything about Sarah and Brandon, where they've been, what they've done. Who else knows about this?" "I don't want revenge," I said quietly. "I just want Emma back." Lauren looked at me with something close to pity. "Revenge isn't optional anymore. Sarah made sure of that when she took your daughter and ran. The best defense is a good offense. We hit her so hard she doesn't have time to hit back." I did what she said. Opened a new account at a different bank. Transferred $42,000 from checking. Another $115,000 from savings. Changed all my passwords. Canceled the credit cards. It felt wrong, like I was the one doing something shameful. "Don't think like that," Lauren said, watching my face. "This is your money. You earned it. She stole it. Now you're protecting what's left." Victor Crane called me back within 30 minutes. His voice was gravel and cigarettes. "Your sister sent me the videos. How stupid are you?" "Excuse me?" "Showing your wife the evidence before securing your assets, before getting legal representation, before doing anything except having an emotional breakdown. That's amateur hour." I wasn't exactly thinking clearly. "I don't need you to think. I need you to follow instructions. First instruction, shut up. Don't talk to Sarah. Don't text her. Don't communicate in any way unless I'm physically present recording the conversation. Second instruction, get me everything. Bank statements for the last 3 years, credit card bills, phone records, emails, everything. Third instruction. I'm filing for emergency custody today. Judge Patterson owes me a favor. We'll have a hearing by end of week. That fast? I told you she owes me a favor. Also, your wife committed parental kidnapping. That tends to light a fire under the court's ass. Victor paused. One more thing. Get a DNA test for your daughter. We need to know for sure if she's yours. My stomach dropped. How? I'll send you a kit. You probably have something with her DNA on it. A toothbrush, a pacifier, whatever. Send it back with your own sample. Results in 3 days. And if she's not mine? Then your wife has been committing fraud on multiple levels, and you have even more leverage. Either way, we need to know. He hung up without saying goodbye. Lauren made breakfast while I went through the house collecting financial documents. Every drawer, every file cabinet, every shoebox of receipts that Sarah had always insisted on keeping. I found loan documents I'd never seen before, credit card statements for accounts I didn't know existed, a lease agreement for a storage unit downtown. What's in the storage unit? Lauren asked, reading over my shoulder. I have no idea. We should find out. The private investigator showed up at noon. Devin Marks, 50-something, gray hair cut military short, eyes that missed nothing. He looked like he'd been carved from granite and left out in the rain for a decade. Lauren says you need help, he said, settling into my kitchen like he owned it. My wife is having an affair. She's stolen about $90,000 from me. She took our daughter and I don't know where they are. I'll find them by tonight. Devin pulled out a tablet. Give me everything you have on her. Full name, social security number if you know it, phone number, email addresses, social media, employment information, family members, friends, places she likes to go, everything. I told him everything. He typed rapidly, not looking up. Brandon Fields, he said. The boyfriend. What do you know about him? Works with Sarah at Brennan Associates, marketing department. That's it. That's enough. Devin stood. I'll call you when I have something. In the meantime, install security cameras. Front door, back door, driveway. Your wife seems unstable. So does her boyfriend probably. Once he figures out, you know. People do stupid things when they're cornered. You think they'd come here? I think you should be prepared for anything. Devin headed for the door, then stopped. One more thing. Stop drinking. I can smell the whiskey from here. You need to be sharp. Courts don't give custody to drunks. After he left, I poured the rest of the bottle down the sink. Sarah called that afternoon. I didn't answer. She called 6 more times in an hour. On the 7th, Lauren grabbed my phone and answered on speaker. What do you want, Sarah? I need to talk to Caleb. He doesn't want to talk to you. This is between me and my husband. Your husband who you've been stealing from? That husband? Lauren's voice was ice. Or maybe you mean the husband you cheated on with Brandon Fields for 3 years. Help me out here. Which husband are we talking about? Silence. I want to see Emma, I said. She's fine. She's with me. Where? Somewhere you can't bully me. Somewhere I feel safe. Safe from what? I never touched you. Never threatened you. Never did anything except trust you. My voice was rising. Lauren put a hand on my arm, warning me to stay calm. You're controlling, Sarah said. You always have been. The way you check our accounts. The way you question where I'm going. The way I noticed you stealing from me? Yeah, that must have been real inconvenient. I took a breath. You have 24 hours to bring Emma back. After that, I'm filing kidnapping charges. You wouldn't. Watch me. I hung up. My hands were shaking again. Good, Lauren said. Now she knows you're serious. Now she knows she can't manipulate you anymore. The DNA kit arrived the next morning via courier. A simple cheek swab for me. I needed something from Emma. I went to her room and found her toothbrush in the bathroom, still damp from whenever Sarah had last used it. 2 days ago? 3? I sealed both samples in the prepaid envelope, and dropped it at the post office on my way to work. Then I sat in my truck in the parking lot and cried for the first time since this whole nightmare started. Not for Sarah, for Emma, for the little girl who'd called me daddy, who'd fallen asleep on my chest during late-night feedings, who'd taken her first steps holding my hands, the little girl who might not be mine at all. My phone rang. Devin. "Found them," he said. "Motel 6 off Highway 52, room 118. Sarah's car is in the lot. Brandon's car is there too." "They're together?" "Looks like it. Want me to sit on them? Make sure they don't run?" "Yes." "And Devin?" "Get photos. Everything. I want proof she's with him while she's supposed to be keeping my daughter safe." "Already on it." I forwarded the information to Victor. He called back immediately. "Perfect. This is perfect. She's alienating the child and cohabitating with her affair partner. Judge Patterson is going to eat her alive." Victor sounded almost happy. "Emergency hearing is tomorrow at 2. Don't be late, wear a suit, look responsible, let me do all the talking." "What about Emma?" "If everything goes right, you'll have her by tomorrow night." I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if Emma was scared. If she was asking for me. If Sarah had told her anything. The next morning, I put on my best suit. Dark blue, conservative tie. Lauren met me at the courthouse with a folder full of documents. "Victor's already inside," she said. "He's got everything. The videos, the bank statements, Devin's photos from last night. Sarah's lawyer doesn't know what's about to hit her." The courtroom smelled like floor polish and desperation. Victor sat beside me at the plaintiff's table, 3 briefcases worth of evidence stacked beside him. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my truck and an expression that said he'd already won. Across the aisle, Sarah sat with her lawyer, a woman named Judith Thompson, who looked young and nervous. Sarah wouldn't look at me. She stared straight ahead, hands folded in her lap, wearing a conservative dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was pulled back. Minimal makeup. She looked like a PTA mom, not someone who'd been living in a motel with her boyfriend while her daughter slept in the next bed. "All rise," the bailiff said. Judge Patterson entered. She was 60-something, with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen every kind of human garbage. She sat, adjusted her glasses, and looked directly at Sarah. "This is an emergency custody hearing for Emma Walker, age 2, she began. "Mrs. Walker, where is the child now?" Sarah stood. "She's with me, Your Honor, in a safe place." "Define safe place." "A motel, temporarily, until my husband calms down." "Calms down from what?" "He's been very aggressive lately, threatening. I was afraid for my safety and Emma's." Judge Patterson turned to me. "Mr. Walker, have you threatened your wife?" I stood. "No, Your Honor." "Have you ever hit her? Threatened to hit her? Threatened violence in any way?" "No, Your Honor. Never." "Mrs. Walker, do you have any evidence of these threats? Police reports? Recordings? Witnesses?" Judith Thompson stood. "Your Honor, we have my client's testimony that—" "I didn't ask you, counsel. I asked your client." Judge Patterson fixed Sarah with a stare. "Do you have evidence?" He's very subtle about it. It's more emotional abuse than—" "I'll take that as a no." The judge shuffled papers. "Mr. Crane, you filed this emergency petition. What's your basis?" Victor stood, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Your Honor, Mrs. Walker has engaged in systematic financial fraud against my client. She has conducted an extramarital affair for approximately 3 years. She has stolen nearly $90,000 from joint accounts. She has taken out loans and credit cards in my client's name without his knowledge or consent. And most relevantly to this hearing, she has removed the child from the marital home without informing my client of her whereabouts, and is currently cohabitating with her affair partner in said location." He pulled out a folder. "I have bank statements, credit reports, hotel records, and photographs taken last night showing Mrs. Walker's vehicle and her boyfriend's vehicle both parked outside room 118 at the Motel 6 on Highway 52, where according to the desk clerk, Mrs. Walker, her boyfriend Brandon Fields, and the minor child have been staying for the past 3 nights. Sarah's face went white. Furthermore, Victor continued, clearly enjoying himself, we have video evidence of Mrs. Walker engaging in love activity with Mr. Fields on multiple occasions, including on her wedding night to my client. I can provide these videos to the court if necessary. That won't be necessary, Judge Patterson said dryly. She turned to Sarah. You're living in a motel with your boyfriend and your 2-year-old daughter? It's temporary, Sarah said, her voice shaking. Just until I can find an apartment. Using whose money? The money you stole from your husband? I didn't steal anything. That was our money, joint accounts, which you emptied without his knowledge. That's called theft, Mrs. Walker. The judge looked at Judith Thompson. Counsel, do you have anything to add that might change my mind about what I'm currently thinking? Judith stood, shuffled papers, sat back down. We maintain that Mrs. Walker acted in good faith to protect herself and her daughter. From what? A man who by all accounts has never been violent? Who didn't even know his wife was stealing from him? Judge Patterson signed a document. I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Mr. Walker, effective immediately. Mrs. Walker, you will surrender the child to her father within 2 hours. Supervised visitation will be arranged through the court. We'll have a full hearing in 60 days to determine permanent custody. No, Sarah stood. You can't. She's my daughter. Sit down, Mrs. Walker. I won't let you give her to him. He's not even... She stopped. But it was too late. He's not even what? Judge Patterson leaned forward. Sarah looked at her lawyer in panic. Judith was shaking her head frantically. Mrs. Walker, finish your sentence. He's not even what? Nothing, Sarah whispered. Never mind. Mr. Crane, do you know what she was about to say? Victor stood again. Your Honor, we have reason to believe Mrs. Walker was about to claim that my client is not the biological father of the child. Is that true, Mrs. Walker? Sarah said nothing. Your Honor, Victor continued, my client has submitted DNA samples for testing. We should have results within 48 hours. If Mrs. Walker has information about the child's paternity, now would be the time to share it. Mrs. Walker? The judge's voice was sharp. I don't know for sure, Sarah said finally. I think there's a possibility Emma might be Brandon's daughter. The courtroom went silent. I felt like I'd been shot. I'd known it was possible. The anonymous message had warned me. But hearing Sarah say it out loud, in front of a judge and lawyers and strangers, made it real in a way it hadn't been before. You think, Judge Patterson said slowly, that your daughter might be fathered by your affair partner, and you let your husband believe she was his for 2 years? I wasn't sure. Did you ever get a DNA test? No. Did you ever tell Mr. Walker about your suspicions? No. Did you ever tell Mr. Fields? No. Judge Patterson removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. In 30 years on the bench, I have seen a lot of terrible behavior. This ranks near the top. She replaced her glasses. Mrs. Walker, you will surrender Emma to Mr. Walker today by 5 p.m. You will also provide a DNA sample for paternity testing. If you fail to comply with either order, I will hold you in contempt and issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand? Yes, Sarah whispered. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel came down like thunder. Sarah handed Emma over in the courthouse parking lot at 4:30. Brandon was there too, sitting in his car 20 feet away, watching like this was a movie and not the destruction of multiple lives. Emma saw me and started crying, reaching out with both arms. Daddy! Daddy! The word hit me like a physical blow. Whatever the DNA test said, I was her daddy. I'd earned that title. I took her from Sarah's arms. She felt smaller than I remembered, lighter. She buried her face in my neck and sobbed. She's been asking for you, Sarah said quietly. Every night. I told her you were working, that you'd come get her soon. You shouldn't have taken her in the first place. I know. Sarah's eyes were red. I know. I panicked. I didn't know what else to do. You could have been honest 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, or any time before now. I adjusted Emma in my arms. You could have done the right thing. I loved you, she said. I did. I just loved someone else more? Just loved money more? Just loved yourself more? I shook my head. It doesn't matter. We're done talking. Everything goes through the lawyers now. I carried Emma to my truck. Lauren was waiting there, her face soft when she saw her niece. Hey, sweet girl, she said. We missed you. Emma looked at her, then back at me, like she was checking to make sure I was real, that I wasn't going to disappear again. I've got you, I told her. I'm not going anywhere. At home, I made Emma her favorite dinner, mac and cheese with cut-up hot dogs. She ate 3 bites and fell asleep at the table, exhausted from crying. I carried her up to her room and tucked her into her crib with her stuffed rabbit. The DNA results came back 2 days later. I was at the office trying to focus on a renovation design for a downtown hotel when Victor called. Got the results, he said without preamble. You sitting down? Just tell me. 99.9% probability you're not the father. I'd been expecting it, but expecting something and hearing it confirmed are different things. Brandon? I asked. We'd need his DNA to confirm, but given the timing and Sarah's admission, almost certainly yes. What does this mean for custody? Nothing good for Sarah. She committed paternity fraud, which is a tort in this state. You could sue her for damages. You can also use it to strengthen your custody case. Victor paused. But Caleb, here's the thing. Emma's 2 years old. You're the only father she's ever known. If you want to keep custody, you need to make it clear to the court that biology doesn't matter to you, that you want to raise her regardless. I do want to raise her. Then say that. In court. On the record. Because if you start treating her differently now that you know, the judge will give her to Sarah despite everything else. I would never treat her differently. Good. Because Sarah's going to try to use this. She's going to claim that you won't bond with Emma now, that it's better for Emma to be with her biological family. Brandon doesn't want her. He's made that clear. How do you know? Because Devin's been following him. Brandon moved out of the motel 2 days ago, got his own apartment across town, no contact with Sarah since then. He's running from this situation as fast as he can. Even better. Means Sarah has no support system, no money, no job, no partner, and a daughter she obtained through fraud. Victor sounded pleased. We're going to destroy her in court. I don't want to destroy her. I just want Emma. Sometimes those are the same thing. Devin called that evening with an update. Brandon Fields lost his job, he said. Brennan Associates fired him this morning. Love harassment complaint from a junior associate. Apparently, he has a habit of sleeping with co-workers. How do you know this? I may have encouraged someone to file a formal complaint, complete with evidence I'd collected during my investigation. Devin's voice was completely neutral. His wife also filed for divorce. She's asking for full custody of their 3 kids and 90% of marital assets. 3 kids, ages 8, 6, and 4. Brandon's been playing house with Sarah while he's got a whole family across town. Wife had no idea until the photos showed up. What photos? The ones I anonymously sent her. Seemed like the right thing to do. I should have felt bad about that, about destroying Brandon's marriage and career. But I couldn't find it in myself to care. He'd helped Sarah destroy mine. Turnabout was fair play. What about Sarah? I asked. She's still at the motel, paid for another week with money from one of those credit cards she opened in your name. Brennan Associates put her on administrative leave pending an investigation into her relationship with Brandon. Office affairs are against company policy. So she's about to lose her job, too. Within a week, I'd say. Maybe less. Devin paused. She's also been meeting with another man, Dr. Andrew Hayes. He's a therapist, has an office downtown. Her therapist? That's what I thought at first. But the meetings aren't at his office. They're at restaurants, hotels, his place. I've got photos of them together. Very together. She's sleeping with her therapist? Was sleeping with him. Past tense. They had a relationship for about 6 months last year. Ended around the time she got serious with Brandon. Devon's tone was matter-of-fact. I've already filed a complaint with the state licensing board. Therapists aren't allowed to sleep with clients. He'll lose his license. You didn't ask me first. I don't ask permission to destroy bad people. That's not how I work. I hung up, feeling dirty and powerful at the same time. This wasn't who I'd wanted to be. Some kind of vengeful destroyer using private investigators and lawyers to tear apart lives. But Sarah had started this war. I was just finishing it. Emma woke up screaming that night. I rushed to her room. She was standing in her crib, tears streaming down her face, calling for me in a voice that broke my heart. "Daddy! Daddy, don't leave!" "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm right here." I picked her up, held her close. "I'm not leaving. I'm never leaving. Mommy left. Mommy took me away. I know. But you're home now. You're safe. Don't leave me, Daddy. Please don't leave me." "Never," I promised. "I will never leave you." I sat in the rocking chair with her for an hour, singing the same 3 lullabies over and over until she fell back asleep. Then I just held her, feeling her heartbeat against my chest, knowing that whatever happened next, this was real. This mattered. This was worth fighting for. Biology didn't make you a father. Love did. Showing up did. Being there at 3 in the morning when the nightmares came did. Emma was mine. DNA test be damned. Brandon showed up at my house on a Tuesday night. I was in the home office, reviewing construction documents for a library expansion. I should have finished weeks ago when I heard the banging on the front door. Loud, insistent, the kind of knocking that says someone's past the point of rational thought. I checked the security camera feed on my phone. New system installed, courtesy of Devon's paranoia. Brandon's face filled the screen, red and twisted with rage. His shirt was untucked, his tie loose, his hair standing up like he'd been pulling at it. "Caleb, open this goddamn door. I know you're in there." I called the police first. Then I called Lauren. Then I grabbed my phone and went to the door, staying behind it. "Go away, Brandon. I've already called the cops. You ruined my life. You destroyed everything." He was shouting loud enough that neighbors' lights were starting to come on up and down the street. "You sent those pictures to my wife. You got me fired. You turned everyone against me." "I didn't do anything. You did this to yourself when you decided to sleep with my wife. You self-righteous prick. You think you're so perfect? Sarah told me everything about you. How controlling you are. How you monitored every penny she spent. How you made her feel like a prisoner in her own house." I opened the door just wide enough to see him clearly. He looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, eyes red and wild like he hadn't slept in days. There was a smell coming off him too. Whiskey and desperation. "Is that what she told you?" I kept my voice calm. "Did she also tell you about the $60,000 she stole from me? Or the fake loan she took out in my name? Or the fact that she was sleeping with at least one other person while she was with both of us?" That stopped him. "What?" "Dr. Andrew Hayes, her therapist. They had a 6-month affair last year. Guess you weren't as special as you thought." I held up my phone, showing him the printed photos Devon had included in his report. Brandon and Sarah at a restaurant. Sarah and Dr. Hayes at a different restaurant. Sarah sure got around. Brandon's face went through several colors before settling on gray. "You're lying." "Am I? Ask her yourself." "Oh, wait. You can't. She stopped returning your calls 3 days ago." I leaned against the doorframe. "Let me guess. She told you I was the problem, that I was controlling and abusive, that she was trapped, that as soon as she got away from me, you two could be together." He said nothing. She played you, Brandon. Same way she played me. Same way she probably played Dr. Hayes, because that's what Sarah does. She finds decent men and she uses them until there's nothing left to use. Then she moves on. She told me you two were basically roommates, he said quietly, all the fight draining out of him. That you hadn't touched her in over a year. We made love 3 days before I got that video of you on our wedding night. Try again. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Brandon heard them too. You need to leave, I said. Right now, before the police get here and this becomes something you get arrested for. I loved her, he said, and for the first time, he sounded human instead of angry. I really thought we had something real. You thought you were special. You weren't. You were just convenient. I started to close the door, then stopped. One more thing. Emma might be yours. DNA test says I'm not the father. Math works out to right around the time you and Sarah were screwing on my wedding night. Congratulations. His face went white. What? Emma. My daughter. Probably your daughter, actually. Thought you should know. I can't. Of course you can't. Because you never wanted a kid. You wanted to screw someone else's wife and feel like a big man. Well, congratulations. You got that and a whole lot more. I closed the door as the police car pulled up, watched through the camera as they talked to Brandon, took statements, sent him on his way with a warning. When they knocked, I told them everything was fine, just a misunderstanding, no need for charges. The officer looked skeptical. You sure? Guy seemed pretty worked up. I'm sure, he's harmless, just going through a divorce. Aren't we all? The officer muttered, heading back to his car. After they left, I went upstairs and checked on Emma. She was sound asleep, covers kicked off like always, her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest. I covered her back up and sat on the edge of her bed for a while, just watching her breathe. She had Brandon's nose. I could see it now that I was looking for it. Same shape, same little curve at the bridge. Her eyes were Sarah's. But her smile, that was all her own, something new and untouched by either of her biological parents. My phone buzzed. Sarah. What did you tell Brandon? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. The truth. All of it. You're destroying everyone around you. I'm protecting myself and my daughter. There's a difference. She's not your daughter. That one hit harder than I expected. She is in every way that matters. And when this goes to court, the judge will agree. You can't keep her from me forever. Watch me. I blocked her number. Should have done it weeks ago. Lauren called 5 minutes later. Brandon just called me. He's threatening to sue you for defamation. On what grounds? He claims you told his wife about the affair to deliberately destroy his marriage. I didn't tell his wife anything. Devin did, and it's not defamation if it's true. That's what I told him. He hung up on me. Lauren paused. He also asked about Emma, about paternity. What did you tell him? That she's probably his. Caleb, that was stupid. Now he might try to claim parental rights. Let him try. He doesn't want her. He just wants to hurt me. I looked at Emma sleeping. And even if he does want her, I've got 2 years of being her father. He's got DNA and nothing else. No judge is going to side with him. Don't be so sure. Biological fathers have rights, even shitty ones. Then we'll fight him too. I'm not losing her, Lauren. I don't care who I have to fight. She was quiet for a moment. You sound different. Harder. Good. Maybe I needed to be harder all along. The formal custody hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. Victor filed a motion to terminate Sarah's visitation rights entirely, citing her continued contact with Brandon, her financial instability, and her pattern of deception. Sarah's lawyer filed a counter-motion claiming I was alienating Emma and using my financial resources to bully Sarah into submission. Standard tactics, Victor said when he called to update me. Thompson's throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. None of it will work. We've got too much evidence. What about Brandon? Could he file for custody? He could. But he'd have to acknowledge paternity first. That means DNA test. That means child support. That means his ex-wife gets to increase her divorce settlement because he fathered a child during their marriage. He's not going to do that. You're sure? I'm sure. Brandon Fields is a coward. Cowards don't voluntarily sign up for responsibility. Victor's voice was certain. Forget about him. Focus on Sarah. She's the real threat. But I couldn't forget about Brandon. Because 2 days later he filed a paternity suit. Victor said when he called with the news. He actually did it. He's claiming paternal rights to Emma. Can he do that? Technically, yes. If he's the biological father, he has standing to request custody or visitation. But Caleb, he's making a huge mistake. This opens him up to child support obligations. It strengthens his ex-wife's divorce case. It makes him look even worse in the court of public opinion. Why would he do it then? Spite. Pure spite. He's lost everything. His job, his marriage, his reputation. Now he wants to take something from you. Victor paused. Or Sarah's behind this. Maybe she convinced him it's his only play. Either way, we can use it. How? Because now we have two unfit parents fighting for custody of a child they both treated as a pawn. Makes you look even better by comparison. The stable, responsible father who's been there from day one while the biological parents played games. The DNA test for Brandon came back within a week. 99.8% match. Emma was his biological daughter. I should have felt something when I read the results. Anger, maybe, or loss. Instead, I just felt tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of evidence and lawyers and courtrooms. Tired of watching my daughter become a legal football. We need to tell Emma eventually, Lauren said. We were sitting in my kitchen, going over documents for the upcoming hearing. Emma was at daycare, probably finger painting or singing songs, blissfully unaware that the adults in her life were tearing each other apart over her. Tell her what? That the woman who gave birth to her is a liar and a thief? That her biological father is a narcissist who didn't even know she existed until a few weeks ago? That I'm not her real father even though I'm the only one who's ever taken care of her? Eventually, yes. Kids deserve the truth. Kids deserve stability, love, safety. Truth can wait until she's old enough to process it without being traumatized. Lauren didn't argue. She just gathered up her papers and squeezed my shoulder on her way out. You're a good father, Caleb. Don't forget that. After she left, I sat in the quiet house and thought about truth, about how many kinds there are. Biological truth, legal truth, emotional truth. Emma was Brandon's daughter by biology, but she was mine by every other measure that mattered. I'd been there when she was born, 2 weeks early, Sarah in labor for 16 hours, me holding her hand and telling her she could do it. I'd changed her first diaper, given her first bath, walked the floors with her during those awful colicky nights when nothing would make her stop crying. I'd taught her to say dada, helped her take her first steps, read her the same 3 books every night for 6 months straight because they were her favorites. Brandon had contributed some DNA. That was it. The hearing was a circus. Sarah showed up in a new dress with fresh highlights in her hair, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Brandon sat in the back row, trying to be invisible. His lawyer, a man named Peter Sullivan who looked barely out of law school, sat beside him, looking nervous. Judge Patterson walked in and everyone stood. She looked tired, like she'd already heard a dozen cases just like this one, and was sick of all of them. Let's make this quick, she said, settling into her chair. Mr. Crane, you're requesting full custody for your client with termination of the mother's visitation rights. Ms. Thompson, you're requesting primary custody for your client with the father having standard visitation. Mr. Sullivan, you're requesting... What exactly are you requesting? Peter Sullivan stood. Your Honor, my client Brandon Fields is the biological father of Emma Walker. We're requesting a paternity test be entered into the record and that Mr. Fields be granted visitation rights as the biological father. Mr. Fields had no idea this child existed until a few weeks ago, correct? That's correct, Your Honor. He was deceived by the mother about... So he wants credit for DNA but none of the responsibility that comes with 2 years of deception? Judge Patterson looked at Brandon. Mr. Fields, stand up. Brandon stood, looking pale. Did you know Mrs. Walker was married when you began your affair with her? Yes, Your Honor. Did you know she was pregnant? No, Your Honor. Did you ask? Did you ever wonder if the child might be yours? No, Your Honor. So for 2 years you conducted an affair with a married woman, never once considering that the child she was raising might be yours. And now that her husband has discovered the affair and filed for divorce, suddenly you want to be a father? Your Honor, I have rights. You have obligations, Mr. Fields, which is why I'm ordering you to pay child support retroactive to Emma's birth. 24 months at, let's say, $1,500 a month. That's $36,000 you owe Mr. Walker for the child you fathered, but didn't raise. She signed a document. You can petition for visitation after you've paid that debt. Until then, you have no standing in this courtroom. Sit down. Brandon sat down hard. His lawyer looked like he wanted to object but couldn't figure out how. Now, Judge Patterson continued, as for custody between Mr. and Mrs. Walker, Mr. Crane, present your case. Victor stood and for the next 40 minutes laid out Sarah's crimes in excruciating detail. The affair, the theft, the fraud, the pattern of deception, the fact that she'd taken Emma to live in a motel with her boyfriend, the fact that she'd allowed Mr. Walker to believe he was Emma's father while conducting multiple affairs. He had bank statements, credit reports, hotel receipts, photos, emails, text messages, a mountain of evidence that painted Sarah as exactly what she was, a manipulative narcissist who'd used everyone around her. Sarah's lawyer tried to counter, claimed Sarah had been trapped in an abusive marriage, that she'd been financially dependent on me, that she'd acted out of fear and desperation. Where's the evidence of abuse? Judge Patterson asked. Your Honor, my client's testimony. Is there a police report? No, Your Honor, but... Medical records documenting injuries? No, Your Honor. However, witnesses, friends, or family who observed this abuse? Your Honor, abuse isn't always physical. I'm aware of that, Counselor, which is why I asked for any evidence of abuse. Do you have anything beyond your client's self-serving testimony? Judith Thompson sat down. No, Your Honor. Then I'm granting full legal and physical custody to Mr. Walker. Mrs. Walker will have supervised visitation twice a month for 2 hours per visit. She will also be required to pay child support in the amount of $500 per month. Judge Patterson looked at Sarah. Mrs. Walker, do you understand that if you violate this order in any way, if you show up late, if you show up intoxicated, if you attempt to remove the child from supervised visits, I will terminate your visitation rights entirely? Sarah was crying now, mascara running down her face. This isn't fair. She's my daughter. You should have thought about that before you stole from your husband and moved in with your boyfriend. The judge's voice was steel. You made your choices, Mrs. Walker. Now you live with the consequences. The gavel came down. Outside the courtroom, Sarah tried to approach me. Her lawyer grabbed her arm, held her back. Caleb, please, she called out. Please don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll get a job. I'll never see Brandon again. Just don't take her from me. I stopped. Turned. Looked at her for the first time in weeks. She wasn't the villain from a movie. She was just broken. Selfish and broken and incapable of seeing anyone's pain but her own. Part of me, a small part, felt sorry for her. You took her from yourself, I said quietly. Every lie you told, every dollar you stole, every time you chose Brandon over your family. You did this, Sarah. Not me. I loved you, she whispered. I know you don't believe me, but I did. I do. No. You loved what I could give you. Stability, money, respectability. You never loved me. You don't even know what love is. I walked away before she could respond. Lauren met me at my truck, Emma's car seat already installed in the back. Daycare called, she said. Emma's ready to be picked up. Thought you'd want to get her yourself. I did. I drove across town to Little Sprouts Daycare, where Emma had been going 3 days a week since she was 18 months old. Mrs. Chen, the director, met me at the door with Emma in her arms. "Daddy!" Emma squealed, reaching for me. I took her, held her tight, breathed in the smell of her, apple juice and crayons and something sweet I could never quite identify. "We heard about the custody case," Mrs. Chen said quietly. "I'm glad it worked out. Emma needs you. Thank you for taking care of her through all this." "That's what we do." She smiled. "Emma's been talking about you all day. She made you a picture. It's in her cubby." I retrieved the picture, a blob of purple and green that could have been anything or nothing. Emma had signed it with a wobbly E in the corner. "It's beautiful," I told her. "We'll put it on the fridge." "Fridge," Emma agreed happily. We drove home through afternoon traffic, Emma singing nonsense songs in the back seat. At home, I made dinner, chicken nuggets and carrot sticks, and we ate together at the kitchen table like we'd done 100 times before. Normal. It felt almost normal. After dinner, bath time, Emma splashed in the tub while I read her a story about a caterpillar who became a butterfly, then pajamas, the ones with the unicorns she loved, then teeth brushing, then her bedroom where I tucked her in with her stuffed rabbit. "Daddy stay?" she asked, her eyes already heavy with sleep. "Always," I promised. I sat in the rocking chair beside her crib and watched her drift off. Her breathing evened out. Her hand loosened on the rabbit. She looked peaceful, safe. This was revenge, I realized, not the courtroom victories or the financial settlements. This, coming home to my daughter, reading her stories, tucking her in, being the father she deserved. The best revenge was building a good life from the ashes of a bad one. The next 6 months were quiet, too quiet, like the eye of a hurricane. Sarah showed up for her first supervised visit and lasted 20 minutes before Emma started crying and asking for me. The second visit, she made it an hour. By the third visit, Emma was warming up to her, playing with the toys Sarah brought, even laughing at her jokes. It hurt to watch. Not because I was jealous, but because I could see what could have been if Sarah had just been honest, if she'd been a real partner instead of a parasite. Emma deserved to have 2 parents who loved her. Instead, she had me and a stranger who showed up twice a month with guilt gifts. Brandon never came back, never tried to see Emma, never paid the child support the judge ordered. Victor filed a motion to hold him in contempt, but Brandon had disappeared. Moved out of state, Devon discovered. Running from his debts and his responsibilities like he'd run from everything else in his life. "Good riddance," Lauren said when I told her. "One less complication." But I wondered sometimes what I'd tell Emma when she asked about her biological father. The truth? That he was a coward who ran away? Or some sanitized version that wouldn't hurt as much? I decided to cross that bridge when I came to it. Emma was only 2. I had time, work picked up, the library expansion was approved. A new client wanted me to design a community center for a neighborhood on the north side. I hired an associate to help with the workload, a recent graduate named Jennifer who was hungry and talented and didn't ask questions about why I sometimes had to leave early to pick up my daughter. Daycare, dinner, bath time, stories, bedtime. The routine became my anchor. On bad days, days when I thought about Sarah and Brandon and everything that had been destroyed, I focused on Emma, on her laugh, on the way she said, "I love you, Daddy," before bed every night. That made it worth it. Sarah stopped showing up to visits after month 4, just stopped. Her lawyer called to say Sarah was dealing with personal issues and needed a break. The personal issues, Devon discovered, were a new boyfriend and a drinking problem. Dr. Hayes had dumped her after losing his license. She'd moved on to someone new, someone who didn't know her history. "She's pregnant," Devon told me over coffee one morning. 4 months along. New boyfriend doesn't know about Emma. "How do you know she's pregnant?" "I saw her at a prenatal clinic, followed her in, checked the sign-in sheet after she left." Devon's face was expressionless. "Thought you should know." I didn't know what to feel about that. Another child Sarah would probably screw up. Another life she'd destroy with her selfishness. "Thanks for telling me," I said. "Want me to keep tabs on her?" "No, I'm done. Whatever she does now is her problem, not mine." Devon nodded. "Smart. You can't save people who don't want to be saved." The final divorce decree came through on a Tuesday, 9 months after that first video. A lifetime ago. I was officially single, officially Emma's sole parent, officially free from Sarah Walker and everything she represented. Victor called to congratulate me. Clean break, no alimony, no property disputes. She signed everything. You won, Caleb. Completely. Why does it not feel like winning? Because good people don't enjoy destroying others, even when those others deserve it. Victor's voice was surprisingly kind. But you did what you had to do. You protected yourself and your daughter. That's winning in my book. After I hung up, I took the divorce papers and put them in a file box in the basement with all the other evidence of my destroyed marriage. Bank statements, credit reports, photos of Sarah and Brandon, the DNA results, everything that proved what had happened. Someday, Emma might want to see it, to understand why her mother wasn't in her life. Or maybe she wouldn't. Maybe she'd just accept that sometimes families are broken and that's okay because love doesn't require biology. That night, I made Emma's favorite dinner, spaghetti with butter and parmesan, no sauce because she hated red things. We ate together at the kitchen table, her feet swinging under her chair, telling me about her day at daycare in a mix of real words and toddler babble. And then I painted a dog, but it looked like a cat. But Mrs. Chen said it was beautiful anyway, and Tommy took my crayon, but I got it back. And we had goldfish crackers, and I want more spaghetti, please. Magic word? I prompted. Please. I gave her more spaghetti. She ate with her hands more than her fork, sauce somehow ending up on her nose, despite the fact that there was no sauce. I love you, Daddy, she said around a mouthful of pasta. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything in the whole world. More than pizza? Way more than pizza. More than ice cream? More than ice cream and pizza combined, she giggled. That's a lot. That's how much I love you. After dinner, bath time. Emma played with her rubber ducks while I washed her hair, careful to keep soap out of her eyes. Then pajamas. Then the bedroom, where I read her 3 books, one about trucks, one about dinosaurs, one about a bear who couldn't sleep. One more? She asked when I finished. Nope, 3 is the limit. You know the rules. But Daddy? But nothing. Time for sleep. I tucked her in with her rabbit. Sweet dreams, Emma. Daddy? Yeah, sweetheart? Are you going to leave like Mommy did? The question hit me like a punch. No, baby. I'm never leaving. I'm staying right here with you forever. Promise? Promise. Cross my heart. I made an X over my chest. I will always be here, no matter what. Okay? Okay. She yawned. Love you, Daddy. Love you too. I sat in the rocking chair until her breathing evened out, watching her sleep in the dim glow of her nightlight. She looked peaceful, safe, loved. That's all that mattered. 1 year later, life looked different. Emma was 3.5, attending preschool 5 days a week. She had friends, favorite teachers, a vocabulary that seemed to expand by the hour. She talked constantly about everything and nothing, her world full of wonder and questions. Why is the sky blue? Why do dogs bark? Where do babies come from? That last one, I deflected. She was too young for the real answer. But someday she'd ask about her mother, about Brandon, about why her family looked different from her friends' families. I'd tell her the truth then. Age-appropriate truth, but truth nonetheless. For now, she was happy. That was enough. The architecture firm was thriving. Jennifer had turned into an excellent partner, taking on more responsibility and bringing in new clients. We'd hired 2 more associates and moved into a bigger office downtown. The library project had won an award. The community center was featured in a design magazine. I was succeeding in ways I'd never expected, professionally, personally, as a father. Sarah had another baby, a boy, Devon told me, though I hadn't asked. She'd married the new boyfriend in a courthouse ceremony. Last I heard, they were living 2 states away. She'd stopped requesting visits with Emma after the first year. Just stopped, like Emma had never existed. It should have made me angrier than it did. Instead, I just felt sad. Sad for Sarah, who'd destroyed everything good in her life, chasing some imaginary version of happiness. Sad for Emma, who'd never know her biological mother. Sad for the boy Sarah had just brought into the world, who'd probably suffer the same neglect and chaos. But mostly, I just felt grateful. Grateful that Emma was mine. Grateful that we'd survived. Grateful for the quiet, stable life we'd built together. Lauren came over for dinner every Sunday. Emma adored her, called her Auntie Lauren, and begged her to play tea party and dress up. Lauren pretended to hate it, but always stayed an extra hour sitting on the floor in a plastic tiara while Emma served her invisible tea. "You're doing a good job," Lauren told me one night after Emma was in bed. "With all of this, I'm proud of you. I'm just doing what any father would do." "No, you're doing what a good father does. There's a difference." She sipped her wine. "Have you thought about dating?" "God, no." "Are you kidding?" "It's been 2 years, Caleb. You're allowed to move on." "I have moved on. I have Emma. I have my career. I have a good life. I don't need to complicate it with a relationship. Everyone needs companionship. I have you, and Emma. That's enough." Lauren didn't push it, but I knew she was right. Someday, maybe, I'd be ready to trust someone again, to open up, to risk being vulnerable. Not today, though. Today I was focused on being the best father I could be. Everything else could wait. Emma's preschool had a father-daughter dance in the spring. I bought a new suit, polished my shoes, and picked Emma up early so she could wear the princess dress Lauren had bought her for the occasion. "I'm a real princess." Emma twirled in front of the mirror, the dress spinning out around her. "You've always been a real princess," I told her. "Are you my prince?" "I'm your dad. That's better than a prince." "Why?" "Because princes ride off into the sunset. Dads stick around forever." She thought about that. "I like that you stick around." "Me too, sweetheart." At the dance, Emma dragged me onto the floor for every song. We did the hokey pokey, we did the chicken dance, we slow danced to a song I didn't recognize while she stood on my shoes, her arms around my waist, her head barely reaching my stomach. "This is the best day ever," she said. "Yeah," I agreed. "It really is." Watching the other father-daughter pairs, I saw all kinds of families, traditional ones, blended ones, single parents like me, grandparents standing in for absent fathers. We were all just doing our best, showing up for the little people who depended on us. That night, after Emma was asleep, I went into the basement and pulled out the file box. All the evidence of Sarah's betrayal, the videos, the photos, the bank statements, everything. I'd kept it for protection, in case Sarah ever came back, in case she tried to take Emma, in case I needed to prove what had happened. But Emma was safe now. Sarah was gone. The legal battles were over. I carried the box outside to the fire pit in the backyard, dumped everything in, struck a match. The papers caught quickly, flames consuming years of evidence, years of pain, years of anger. I watched it all burn, the smoke curling up into the night sky. When it was done, nothing remained but ashes. I went back inside, checked on Emma one last time, and went to bed in a house that finally felt clean, light, free from the weight of the past. The next morning, Emma woke me up by jumping on the bed. "Daddy, Daddy, it's pancake day." Saturday, pancake day, our routine. All right, let's make pancakes. In the kitchen, Emma stood on a stool beside me, helping measure ingredients and stir the batter. She got more flour on herself than in the bowl, but that was half the fun. "Can we put chocolate chips in them?" she asked. "It's your day. Whatever you want." "Chocolate chips and sprinkles?" "That's a lot of sugar." "Please?" I couldn't resist those eyes. "Okay, chocolate chips and sprinkles." We made a mess, batter everywhere, flour on the floor, chocolate chips spilled across the counter. But Emma was laughing, and I was laughing, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something like joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. After breakfast, we went to the park. Emma played on the swings while I pushed her higher and higher, her squeals of delight echoing across the playground. "Higher, Daddy, higher!" "Any higher and you'll fly away." "I want to fly." "Not today. I need you here with me." She laughed, her hair streaming behind her, her face bright with happiness. This was my revenge. Not the courtroom victories, not the divorce settlement, not Sarah's destroyed life or Brandon's ruined career. This. Emma's laughter, her happiness, her security. The life we'd built together from the ruins of everything that came before. Sarah had tried to destroy me. Instead, she'd destroyed herself and given me the greatest gift I could ever receive, a daughter I loved more than life itself. That was revenge. Building something beautiful from ashes, being there, showing up, choosing love every single day. We stayed at the park until lunch, then went home for grilled cheese and tomato soup. Emma ate half her sandwich and fell asleep on the couch during her movie, exhausted from the morning's excitement. I covered her with a blanket and sat beside her, watching her sleep. Her face was peaceful, content. She looked like both of her biological parents and neither of them at the same time. She was just Emma, uniquely, wonderfully herself. "I got you," I whispered, "and I'm never letting go." My phone buzzed. An email from Victor Crane. Sarah had filed a motion to reinstate visitation. She wanted to see Emma again. I felt the old anger stir for a moment. Then I looked at Emma sleeping beside me, and the anger faded. Sarah could file all the motions she wanted. The judge had been clear. No visitation until Sarah proved stability, got a job, stayed sober, showed up consistently for supervised visits without bailing. Sarah couldn't do that. She'd never been able to do that. The motion would be denied like all the others. I deleted the email and turned off my phone. The past was done, burned, gone. The future was here on my couch, sleeping under a fuzzy blanket, dreaming whatever 3-year-olds dream about. And I was exactly where I needed to be,